Every July, over 1 million people leave their homes to walk 200 kilometers across the state of Maharashtra. They march for up to 21 straight days. In many parts of the world, religious journeys of this size operate as commercial enterprises, strictly organized by hierarchy and transactional prayers. These pilgrims endure weeks of blistered feet and physical exhaustion, yet they aren't marching to ask for wealth, health, or divine favors. Their devotion is entirely non-transactional. So what philosophy drives 1 million people to abandon their daily lives, walk 3 weeks through the monsoon, and expect absolutely nothing in return? To understand that motivation, we have to look past the final destination and examine the specific conditions that define the road itself. The journey is highly organized. Travelers move in groups called dindis, stepping off primarily from the towns of Dehu and Alandi near Pune. Along the route, an entire ecosystem springs up to support them. Local villages feed and house the crowds for free, making this a community-run endeavor. The Warkari tradition is built on a social identity that de-emphasizes traditional divisions of caste and class. On this specific road, everyone is required to walk side by side. The wealthy, the poor, the young, and the old march as equals. They replace complex temple ceremonies with 2 basic practices: Nam Jap, the continuous chanting of the divine name, and Seva, the act of serving others. For the Warkaris, serving a fellow pilgrim is an act of pure devotion, following a philosophy where the spirit of service is held in higher regard than the precision of a ritual. After 3 weeks of physical exhaustion, the masses finally arrive at the banks of the Bhima River in Pandurpur to bathe in its sacred waters. They converge on the Sri Vitthal Rukmini Mandir. Parts of this complex have stood since the 12th century, serving as the movement's spiritual epicenter. Inside, there is a distinct break from standard procedure. Every single devotee is allowed to physically touch the feet of the main black stone idol. That level of physical access sidesteps ancient rules dictating who is worthy to approach the divine. It forces a question: why is this specific god so unusually accessible? The answer traces back to an old myth about a young man named Pundalik. While he was obedient as a boy, after getting married, he began treating his elderly parents with extreme cruelty. When his parents set out for Kashi, Pundalik tagged along. He rode comfortably on horseback while forcing his aging parents to walk for miles and groom the animals at night. Stopping at an ashram, he watched mysterious women in filthy clothes clean the floors until their garments turned spotless. When he confronted them the next night, they revealed themselves as the sacred rivers of India, weighed down by the sins washed into them by millions of pilgrims. They looked directly at him and delivered a devastating truth. Of all the people whose filth they carried, he was the absolute worst sinner, simply because of how he treated his parents. That sentence broke him. Pundalik immediately abandoned his journey to Kashi, returned home, and spent the rest of his life tending to his parents' every need. According to the legend, Lord Vishnu was so moved by Pundalik's transformation into a devoted son that he traveled to the house to visit him in person. But Pundalik was in the middle of serving his parents their food. Refusing to stop his service even for God, he tossed a brick outside his door and asked the Lord to stand on it and wait. And God complied. He stood on that brick, hands on his hips, and waited patiently for 28 yugas. This is where the name Vitthal comes from. It literally translates to one who stands on a brick. The legend of the god on the brick mirrors the value seen on the road today. For the million pilgrims walking toward Pandurpur, the journey isn't about seeking status or wealth. It is rooted in the idea that true devotion is found in service, honoring a God who is perfectly willing to wait.